When we look at international news, it sometimes feels like we are watching a series of chaotic events. The United States imposes sanctions on Iran, puts pressure on Venezuela, grows wary of Europe, and confronts China. But what if none of this was a coincidence? What if, behind the official rhetoric about national security or democracy, lay a massive chess game for the control of the world's most precious resource, oil? Today, we decode the American energy strategy, why Iran and Venezuela are the two centerpieces of a formidable plan. Act 1. The Trap of the Strait of Hormuz. Let's start with Iran and the Middle East. There is a place on Earth that gives economists cold sweats: the Strait of Hormuz. It is a tiny maritime corridor through which about 20% of the world's oil consumption passes. The theory is this: what would happen if tensions with Iran rose so much that this strait ended up being blocked? For many countries, it would be the apocalypse. But for the United States, it could be an incredible commercial opportunity. Why? Because in just a few years, thanks to shale oil, the United States has become the world's leading producer of black gold. Today, they are exporters. If Middle Eastern oil can no longer get out, Europe and Asia, and especially China, which is highly dependent on it, would find themselves desperate. They would have no choice but to turn to the United States to buy oil and liquefied natural gas at premium prices. However, playing with the Strait of Hormuz is extremely dangerous. If the price of a barrel explodes globally, the average American will pay a fortune for gas, which would trigger a major domestic political crisis. Washington, therefore, doesn't necessarily want to block the strait, but rather maintain constant pressure. But then, if the Middle East is too unstable, how can the United States secure its future? The answer lies just south of its borders. Act 2. The Venezuelan Vault. This is where Venezuela enters the scene. This country possesses an invaluable treasure, the largest proven oil reserves in the world. But why is the United States, which already produces a massive amount of oil at home, so interested in Venezuela? The answer lies in a technical detail. The oil that Americans extract from their soil is a so-called light oil. The problem is that the massive American refineries were designed to process heavy oil. And guess who produces the best heavy oil in the world right next door? Venezuela. The American industry needs Venezuelan crude to run at full capacity. Taking control of Venezuela's reserves, whether through trade agreements or regime change, is the perfect life insurance for the United States. If the Middle East ever goes up in flames, America will have its own giant, secure gas station right in its backyard. Act 3. The Ricochet against the BRICS. And this is where we understand that this strategy goes far beyond simple energy. It is a global war of influence. While Venezuela was isolated by American sanctions, China and Russia took the opportunity to move in. They lent billions, repaid, in barrels of oil. By regaining control or imposing influence on Venezuela, the United States kills 3 birds with 1 stone. They secure their supply of heavy oil. They create a shield in case of a crisis in the Middle East. They drive China and Russia out, cutting off their rivals' access to cheap energy. Conclusion: the true face of geopolitics. Ultimately, American actions towards Iran and Venezuela are not isolated conflicts. They are not frontal attacks. It is a 3-cushion billiards strategy. By controlling the taps of global energy, isolating Iran, and reclaiming Venezuela, the United States ensures it remains the master of the game. He who controls energy controls the global economy and dictates the rules. Let me know what you think in the comments, leave a like, and subscribe.